Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to a video, and today we're going to be doing some testing for some Emax products, including the brand new Scimitar props and the antennas. And I realize I am a little bit late with the props by about a month here. They actually got lost in the mail, so these guys just showed up. But you can see this is the new Scimitar line from Emax, and the interesting thing is they have a 2.6, a 2.8, a 3.0 pitch, and then a quad blade version of the props. They have 4 different versions of a similar blade profile, which is interesting because you can choose exactly what will fit your motor or your flying style and find which one works best for you. Also in the video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Emax Nano antenna. This thing is absolutely tiny. You can see here is an MMCX one, and here's an SMA one on the goggles. So for the all the DVR that I'll be showing with the props, I'm actually just going to fly with just this Nano, not the other antenna. So record to my Commander's DVR here. So that'll be a way to test the antenna. You know, antennas pretty much just work, but this is just how I'm going to do it, just to show it here. Keep in mind the Amway DVR isn't the greatest, so there will be a little bit more breakup in the DVR than what I'm actually seeing. But this antenna is awesome because it is absolutely tiny. If you see, here is a Fox Ear Lollipop. Look at that. This thing is like a third the size. It is absolutely tiny. So this will be great on micros, and they are working on a stubby and UFL version. So let's real quick go ahead and weigh all of the props as well as this antenna. So the antenna with the MMCX weighs 2.3 grams. So that is just so light. So let me actually take off this Lollipop real quick just to test. This is Lollipop V3 from Fox Ear. That weighs 5 grams. So that antenna is 3 grams lighter, and it does have that coaxial cable on it as well. So the 2.6 version is 4.0, about 4.1 grams there. And if we take a look at the 2.8 pitch, we get about 4.1 grams, so almost the exact same weight. Here we have the 3.0 pitch. That weighs 5.6 grams, definitely very meaty, and then the quad blade weighs about 6 grams. So just holding them in my hand, the prop design feels pretty nice. It kind of has the sort of swoop back boomerang look of the Azures, but it's definitely a very sharp blade profile. This is the 2.6, and hopefully you can see it is pretty flimsy, but it bends far out in the blade, so it still should be pretty durable, but it's definitely a very lightweight prop. The 2.8 is very similar, just a little bit more stiff. But when we get to the 3.0 pitch, hopefully you can tell, it looks like a much bigger prop. There's just a lot more blade area. It's a more deep red color, and it is way stiffer. So I'm actually pretty excited for this prop to try it for racing. It should be pretty durable and very fast. 3.0 pitch. And then the quad blade is similar. It's definitely more stiff than the other ones, but it's a little bit lower pitch since it's a quad blade to help out. And they say it's not supposed to be super high amp draw, but I mean, look at this thing. This is pretty aggressive design like Emax props usually are, so it'll be interesting to see how it flies. So I'm just going to go ahead and fly them on my Nexus quad here with the Brother Hobby R6 2207 1750 kV motors. We have a R-Line V3 1300 6S battery here. Pyrodrone 4-in-1 ESC, Synergy flight controller with a TBS Crossfire Nano and a TBS Unify V3. With a Fox Ear Lollipop as well, a Predator V4 up front. And once again, I'll be recording all the DVR with only this little Emax Nano antenna here on my goggles, and I am using a Lollipop here on the quad once again, but I don't have 2 of the Emax Nanos to put on, so that'll just be what it is. So let's go ahead and get into the testing. First, we'll start off with the 2.6. Okay, so here are the 2.6 on my normal race setup. Have not adjusted the PIDs. Right away I can hear top end oscillation. Definitely, since it's a much higher response prop, it needs lower PIDs here. Oh yeah. All kinds of de-oscillation with these. I'm not really faulting the prop. It's probably just my tune not well suited for them. Definitely though, they are very responsive. Like, just the turns, very locked in, very nice light feeling, and they don't feel underpowered. I'm used to flying the Gemfan 51 49.9. Which is a very high power prop, very steep pitch prop, and I don't feel like I'm at a loss for power. Probably not as much, but not like I'm flying like 3S or something. It's definitely very respectable. And if you had these on like an 1800, 1850 kV motor, these could be sick. I am a little worried because of just how thin the blade is. That at that high RPM, it's going to flutter bad. HQ has that problem a little bit when you get into the ridiculous kV setups, like 2000 kV 6S, but pretty good so far. And first impressions on the antenna is it's perfectly fine. As I said, the Amway DVR usually records much more poorly than what I'm seeing, but I'm on 200 milliwatts here. I wouldn't say any better or any worse performance than I've used before. I'm only using the one antenna on the goggles. Definitely back here, get a lot of breakup, but you know, I'm behind a barn, so that's perfectly acceptable. For how small and light it is, I think this could be pretty dang awesome. And once again, they are working on a stubby, a UFL, and a long version. So long version of the goggles and stubby on the quad could be pretty awesome. So that was good enough. Let's bring it in and swap to the 2.8 props. All right, we have a fresh battery for the 2.8 pitch props. Noticing similar amount of top end oscillation. I was hoping it'd be less on these. It actually is a little bit less, but just because they're getting closer to the pitch of my props that I have this quad tuned for. Oh yeah, definitely has some more go than the 2.6. A little bit, just more top end overall. Oh yeah, this thing can definitely haul. It is not a slow prop. Whoa, yeah, I thought there was branches in there. A little durability, we can turtle over. Oops. Well, there's our first durability test. Wow, look at these. So I took my radio off here. I'm actually, look at that. I didn't even hit that hard. I clipped a branch and touched the ground, and look at how severe the bend is. Really up and then down. That's a, oh, and this one too. It's a pretty darn bad bend. Probably smoked my motors if I flew about 5 seconds longer. It's really hot there. So it definitely is quite disappointing, and something that I mentioned earlier. These blades just feel really, these 2.8 and 2.6 just feel really flimsy. So I'm actually going to go ahead and leave the 2.8 at that. I flew it for about 30 seconds there, but it's very similar to 2.6, just a little bit more power. But I'm really most interested in the 3.0 pitch, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to those. Okay, so this is the 3.0 pitch, and this is the one that I'm most excited for. Can right away. Well, that was not supposed to happen. The flight controller just completely froze up. Well, I have no idea what that was. That was definitely not confidence inspiring. But rebooting the flight controller, replugging in the quad fixed it. As I was saying, all of that warble and oscillation, if you can hear hopefully, that's all gone, because now that we're into these stiffer props, higher pitch props, this is more like the setup I usually fly, which is what this quad is tuned for. Yeah, this definitely feels a lot more natural compared to what I'm used to. Just more speed overall. Definitely very respectable prop. Whoa, under the clothesline. Liking them so far. Seem to be pretty low on prop wash. They have really good punch overall. And the speed, you know, speed's maybe a little lower than my typical GemFan props, but I would say it's more than enough for a race. If you can keep your lines tighter rather than going faster, you'll get a better lap time. Oh yeah, I like these way better than the other ones so far. because if you can't tell, my style of flying is pretty much racing focused at this point. I still do some freestyle, but I really love to race, so. They track really well, corner well. Last question would be durability. Since the 2.8 versions did not fare so well, but these are way stiffer, so it'll be interesting to see. So I'm just gonna drop it in here. All right, and let's try to turtle. Come on. All right, let's see. Oh wow, listen to that. They're good. Back up and flying, I don't hear any extra noise. Probably a little bit of dirt on them, but yeah. Sacrificed my quad there. Way more durable than the other version. Nice. Let's move to the quad props now. Alright, so now we have the interesting ones. The quad props. Listen to that, you can hear it already. Quad props just sound so much different. The control is just, if you ever flown quad props before, you'll know what I mean. You just feel in control. The quad just goes where you want. They definitely, I would say, have less power than the 3.0. I'm just having to stay at higher throttles. That failed power loop there. It's just a little less power than I was used to flying the 3.0 last pack. They are definitely very nice. Probably one of the best quad props I've flown, although I haven't flown many since the old Dal and HQ quad prop a while ago. So this is one of the newer generation quad props. I know HQ has a new one now, as well as GemFan, but these are definitely a very solid contender. Surprisingly, my tune is not much worse with these. Usually you need a lot lower gains with quad props. But it's performing great. Look at that turning. The grip is just unreal with quads. Look at that. And I've been flying for about a minute 45, and my battery is kind of toast here, 3.6 volts per cell. So Emax claims they are efficient, just as efficient as a regular prop. To be fair, I have been flying them pretty hard, but I feel like I was getting better efficiency on the 3-pitch tri-blades. So I think these are kind of a specific prop, race-specific, track-specific. For example, the global qualifier track, where you only need to do 3 laps, and it's very tight with a lot of turns. For example, actually the number, I think it's the number 2 time by Patrick White, engineer right now, actually was set on the HQ quad props on 5S 2450 kV. So tons of control, and if you watch his run, it's just incredible the speed he was achieving. Oh, battery. Having too much fun flying these. Alright, so let's finish up. Alright, so here we are back after that testing. Just do a quick sum up for the 2.6 and the 2.8 pitch. They flew great, I just wasn't that impressed, especially with the durability. I mean, as I showed earlier, look at this prop. This barely took a hit, and it just got completely deformed and useless there. So I feel like the durability on these is just too low. Maybe if you're doing freestyle where you're not really crashing, or when you do crash it doesn't matter as much, you can just go change your props or bend them back. Actually, let me try to bend this back, so let's fix that. And then that, yeah, I mean, it bent back okay. There's still definitely some creases in it there, if you can see. But you could fly that again, for sure. But in a racing scenario where you can't just go out and bend your props, that is definitely not going to work, which is why I was much happier with the 3.0 pitch. As I said, much stiffer, much more durable. You can, in the video there, actually, I disarmed from like 15 feet up, going along, let it smash into the ground, turtled over, and no problems with the props at all. They look brand new, so that is awesome. And these are probably my favorite props out of the batch. And then lastly, we get to the quad blades, which actually really surprised me. Definitely not as efficient as Emax says. They were stressing my battery pretty hard, but the motors aren't hot. It flew great. There was barely any prop wash, and the control is just really there. So on a tight course with only like 3-4 laps, we were flying for about a minute where you can really send it. I think these are probably a good idea, but for general flying, I'm still going to be sticking with a tri-blade prop. So if you are interested in these props, I'd recommend the 3.0 or the quad blade. I wouldn't really mess with the other two unless you're doing freestyle only. And as for the antennas, the little Emax Nano, I used this guy all along. Once again, the Aomway DVR is worse than what I'm seeing. I normally use the clear view just because the DVR records well with the clear view. Doesn't do as well. It's internally. And I was only using one. I only have one SMA Emax Nano, so I couldn't use two, so the goggle was definitely at a disadvantage. It did not have a patch on, but I wanted to see what happened with just the goggle, or just this little antenna, and it flew perfectly fine. I didn't have any problems flying with the video. Obviously, 200 milliwatts I was only flying in my yard here, but I'd say it's perfectly fine, and other people have been saying these have good RF properties so far, waiting on the actual charts yet. But once they come out with the long SMA for goggles and a little short one, short stubby for on the quad, I think it's going to be a very viable antenna. It is just super, super tiny. So if this thing is released on the website, I'll leave a link to it below. I'm not sure if it's out yet, as well as the props. I'll leave them links below. If you want to try them, I'd recommend the 3.0 and the quad blade. So yeah, that's going to bring us to the end of the video. I'll leave a link to my Patreon below as well if you wish to help support the channel and these types of testing videos. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.